he gets into the 95 of Folks. Here comes the caution.
Flag is dropped here at Daytona, and away we go for the first time. Nicholas Morcel, Sean.
Looks like most get through unscathed. Look at that, there's Reed Gibson. A big move at the inside line of Dom's, possibly a little bit of contact.
Up now as we've got 3-wide action going through turns 1 and 2.
And they're underway. Eric Hahn takes a nice jump. Wilson hasn't let him go very far.
Nice to go out here for Circuit to Spa Francorchamps. Alex Johnson's off to a brilliant start there.
Just how oddly shaped this one is. We saw in the background Eric Hahn go for a bit of a swing, and he's gone and he's over.
Smooth stuff. Cody Graham's the one-on-one up into second place. Alex Johnson 6/10 lead at the moment.
Sir Dicey up front. There's Andrew Kessel, just insane.
They are ready to go. The lights are out, and away we go for the very first time here at Okayama International Circuit. Finley Fitzsimmons.
Good evening, race fans, and welcome to the J2ICS, the Just Two Idiots Cup Series, broadcasted by Team Goon Squad Broadcasting. Bring you the action in 1080p and 60 frames a second, provided by myself, provided that Australia is able to withhold that. I know it says Mason Heimbar up in the booth. Unfortunately, my good colleague and partner in crime, Mason Heimbar, feeling a bit under the weather, so I have been jumped into the booth right at the end of basically practice right here. I am your host for this evening's event, Gareth McAllister, aka the G-Spot, bringing it home. And yes, I did just say that on broadcast. That is what they call me in the J2ICS. Been a little while since I've last spent time with some of these drivers, and I must admit it is great to see everyone again. I've had a little bit going on lately, so I haven't had a lot of time to spend on track with these guys, but I know quite a few of them in the race tonight, and I know it's going to be a good one as we prepare for some open quali times to show up on the board. Now, this is Motorland Aragon. Not a very forgiving track at all. As you can see, car spun around there already, showing us just how tricky it is. Got about 16 cars, I believe, from what I saw in practice, turning up tonight. So it should be a pretty decent one. These curbs very, very high. You can see the sausage very unforgiving. This track not very much liked by the average driver. As you can see, a big lock up there from our man Urko as he makes his way around. Joining us from California, made his way on track to Spain. Try and get something done here. Now that is way off track. Not sure that's going to count as he goes sightseeing a little bit. But I will say, very, very picturesque racetrack. Providing its own set of challenges. Now, as I say, we were brought up here into the booth right at the edge of practice as quick as we could fathom. So, unfortunately, I must admit, I will be playing around with a few things. Probably seeing just how I can get this to work to the best of its ability and the best of, let's be honest, my ability. As I bring the action here to you tonight, Black Bob, with our very fastest track. Going to be beaten out by Bozak, though, with a 154.47. That's a pretty quick time here at Motorland Aragon. We're still going to have a little bit of qualifying left. Who was that just went for a little bit of a spin? It certainly wasn't Brosidon. As we're going to have a quick look. It wasn't AJ, Simply Steve, or Biker Pilot. It might have been Simply Steve. No, he was around earlier on. But as we say, I don't know what we're saying. We're saying things. As that was Bozak that was actually going for a little bit of a spin here. We're going to try and get the paints loaded up for you. Not sure if that's the right paint or not. It may well be. but there's a chance that I am wrong. So we're going to get that one started up for you. You might see a little bit of a blip there as they turn to white and resetting the paint schemes for these drivers. Quick apologies on that, as hopefully that can get itself sorted out pretty quickly, just in case I am wrong. There is, of course, the chance that it's the right paint schemes and now I'm loading up ones that will override it and be wrong. There's always that chance, because I have had that happen before, and it's not exactly fun. But not a whole lot we can do about that. We're gonna... You know what? We're gonna ride on board, I reckon, with Bozak. See the gyrocam in the center of the car, the driver on the right. So something very different for a lot of these drivers. Obviously for me, nothing new. Australia does drive on that side of the car, but for a lot of these drivers, especially because most of them are from the US of A, they will be driving on the wrong side of the road for what they're used to. It's definitely its own unique set of challenges and hard to determine where exactly the edges of the race car actually are. The curbs definitely providing a huge factor to that, as you can feel the left side tires rumbling on them. That's basically all the knowledge you get. There's also a huge A-pillar on the right hand side, right next to the driver. You can see there just a little bit. See if we can get a bit better of an angle on that one. As what other can we use? That's going to be the exact same one, so never mind. But yeah, you can see just in front of the driver there on the right of screen that there is a big pillar there blocking the actual apex, so you won't be able to see a lot of these right hand corners. More or less going to be a feel for trying to really delve into exactly where that apex is and getting that car pointed accordingly, get the quickest time possible. There's that little bit of blip we were talking about. And it looks like the same paint scheme has arisen from the Bozak machine, the number 906. Nicholas Trollman joining us in the chat, that's saying that that is Bozak's paint. So that's fantastic news. And hopefully I haven't taken the spec map off, because I've done that in the past. This. But that should be all good. So once again, just getting a feel for how we're looking at the Just Two Idiots Cup Series. Of course, a lot more than two idiots outside here on the track right now. Quite a few. And one big one in the booth being me. So, anyway, we keep going. Let's have a quick little look at Etmidust. Or Eat My Dust, as has been wrongly named by a couple of my colleagues in the past. But Etmidust doing a... Or maybe I'm doing it wrong, now I think about it. These drivers like to create their own nicknames for each other. And I must admit, I was very much into the idea while I was driving with these guys. I think it is Eat My Dust. I think that's genuinely what it's meant to be. As you can see, Black Bob, Notovin, Simply Steve, Garlic Dog, Poseidon, Biker Pilot. These names bringing back a lot of good memories. And just unfortunate I have not been able to race a whole lot with them in recent times. Eat My Dust moving out of the way for Black Bob to come through. Black Bob with a very vivid paint scheme. Quite like that one. As that hairpin right at the end there, not allowing a whole lot of drivers to really get the power down. I'm going to see, because that would be ideal. I'm going to have a see if I can bring up the track map. There is a lot going on here to what I'm used to, I must admit, so bear with me. As you can see, someone else has gone off track. I believe that was AJ. And yeah, going for a bit of a self-spin. And just trying to get out of the way, not to be involved with any other incidents with the rest of the field. So that is going to be very, very good indeed. Oh, and having a little bit more of an incident a bit further back. Some of these drivers choosing not to come out for qualifying, interestingly enough. We have yet to see Junior McKinn. Man, I'm gonna cop a lot, a lot for this. McKinn, Book, Prince Adam, DC, and McMurk. Have not seen them release their bonds from pit road as of this point. Still a few minutes left in qualifying. Donovan with a bit of an off-track moment there. Takes a tow. Stays out of it. Let's tune into Beaver all by his lonesome. Oh, getting a little bit too much of the kitty litter there. And that is going to send that car for a little bit of a tail happy slide. But going to keep it underneath him for the moment. So that was a great job. Well handled by Beaver. And track map. Bang. That work? That did not work. Man, I was so hyped about that as well. The bugger. Black Bob's still trying to increase his time. As well as Simply Steve. Not sure why my track map is refusing to show up on stream. So that's a bit of a bugger. Dixon asking, is the Endurance Series next? This series in particular that we are broadcasting for you right now is the Sprint Series. The Endurance Series runs bi-weekly to the Sprint Series itself. So they change hands every single week. And we are on week 3 of the J2I Sprint Series. J2ICS. I should fully complete that. Simply Steve, that's going to be an off-track for him, so that lap is not going to count. As he ran a little bit too wide coming into that really long sweeping left-hander. Very tricky one. Very much want to keep the power down as much as possible, but at the same time, does not allow you to do that. So yes, we are on round 3 of the Sprint Series. I'm not sure with the Endurance Series. As I said, I've been thrown into the booth right at the last minute. But I will say that it has to be either week 2 or 3 of the Endurance Series as well at this point. Or it'll be 3 or 4 as of next week. So apologies that I haven't got that with me right now. But we're trying. Giving it all she's got. No worries, Penny. Glad I could help. As Penny Dixon comes in us for that one. Thank you once again for joining in the spectator area. Even if you do not leave a comment underneath for us to talk about during the broadcast, that is all okay, as we're just excited to have you and very much happy about it. So that's going to be the end of qualifying. And we're going to see just how these drivers stack up with each other. As that should not be showing like it is. Interesting. Alright, let's see if we can set everything. Noises. Anyway. Alright. Here we go. So, reason... Come on. I can find where this is. There is a whole big data sheet on my other monitor, I must admit, that I am not broadcasting to you right now. And it is very, very confusing because there is way more than I am ever used to. So I'm trying. But right now we got Bozak starting on pole with Eat My Dust starting in the second position alongside. It's going to be a rolling start, so we've still got a little bit of time before we get this one rolling. Black Bob and Simply Steve going to be starting in the second row with third and fourth position. Not a Vain going to be in the top 5 spots with Urko in the 6th place alongside him. And we go. Ah, perfect. Then we are going to have Garlic Dog in the 7th position. Garlic Dog, a very, very well-known driver here in the Just Two Idiots Cup Series. Created his own Dirt Rally League as well, so if you're interested, definitely hit him up on Discord or let us know, and we'll see if we can drop an invite. Something along those lines and get you in contact with him if you're interested in rally driving as well. Brosidon in the 8th position as well, starting up there towards the front. Biker Pilot and AJ side by side in the 9th and 10th positions. Beaver with DC alongside him in the 11th and 12th spots. As we cycle it on back, Book and Junior, I'm not sure if it's Junior McKinn, JR McKinn, or if it's, I can't imagine it's Jummerkin. But it very much could be. In the 14th position, Prince Adam in the 15th spot, and McMurk rounding out our 16-car grid here tonight. Shame I am not making it 17th, I must admit. Just barely got into the booth itself, let alone getting into one of these machines and having any kind of capacity to race with these guys. Be well above me. So we get ready as we line up the LMP3 machines behind the Porsche 911 pace car. I must admit, the LMP3, a very, very fun car to drive. Some people, I understand, a bit hit and miss on that one. But I can say that I very much enjoy it. As a lot of downforce, not a lot of power. When I say a lot of downforce for the power it provides. As we get ready to potentially send them on their way after this next series of corners. As I said that, I must admit, mid-sentence, I was thinking to myself, no, they're about halfway through the track at this point. So I've got to get that track map working because that'll really show you, give you an idea of just where they are on track and how long the track actually lasts. See if the track map works for us this time. That would be fantastic. Doesn't look like it's gonna show up for us. That is very, very annoying. Not just for me, but I'm sure for you at home as well. We have another person joining the stream. Welcome. Just in time before the start of the race as they head towards the final hairpin. trying to find the data for this. It's interesting. I'm not sure how Mason manages to do all this, as I say. I am just the fill-in. Mason, much, much better than I. Much more experienced. And knows what all of these data sheets mean. As we don't want to play around with it too much, because we certainly don't want to lose what we have. As what we have right now looks pretty good to my eye. I hope on the broadcast it appears a very similar way. Now Bozak is going to get ready to start us off right now because we are heading into the final left-hand kink up the hill towards the start-finish line. Left turn down pit road goes the Porsche.
Green, green, green.
And the green flag has just come out. Bozak with a nice cut across of over the front of Eat My Dust. Eat My Dust trying very hard to stay on his back bumper. Black Bob not too far behind. It looks like we had maybe a little bit of an incident further back in the pack, as Poseidon has gone seemingly a couple of laps down. Not sure if that's entirely accurate. As Poseidon's still working his way around the racetrack, and Prince Adam, they both potentially started from pit lane. That might be why they are showing as laps down. Biker Pilot, I believe, had a little bit of an issue earlier back towards the front of the pack, which is why it showed, I'm pretty sure, a puff of smoke from what I could see. DC just made a move around Biker Pilot earlier on. Excuse me, just got passed by Beaver, as they're both up 2 spots equally in this race. Everyone going out very wide except for Biker Pilot, doing a great job keeping it between the lines. Tell that's what he did during class. Beaver made another one. Another position gained by Nick Beaver. As we know, Beaver is certainly no stranger to starting from the pack and working his way towards the front. Does it oh so often in every league he competes in. One of the top drivers I think I've ever laid my eye on. Eat My Dust still trying to keep Black Bob behind, as this is going to be one of your closest battles right now. A little bit of a lock-up from some of these LMP3s as they head towards the final hairpin, and there goes around Garlic Dog. The commentator's curse almost coming to strike big time, as right as we panned, that's when the spin happened. Thankfully able to avoid everything. It looks like Beaver's going to try and make a move into the inside of AJ right there. And that is a nice dive bomb, but not too much that would be considered inappropriate to the inside of turn 1, as we completed a full lap of the circuit here at Motorland, Oregon. Aragon, I should say. This is the closest battle on track right now. Beaver with a huge lockup. That was absolutely insane, as I don't think I've seen a lockup that quite that long before. Want to warm up your tires? That is certainly a way to do it. Jump on the gyro cam of AJ just behind this battle, and you can see Beaver's trying to make his way around Urko just in front. This is going to slow both of those drivers down, and there goes a driver off to the outside. We've got quite a few crashes being listed right now. That was Nodovan having a bit of an issue, it looks like. Maybe a hardware malfunction of some sort. Absolutely horrible to see that one take place. Garlic Dog also with a crash report being indicated. We'll have a look at where he went around a bit too heavy on the brakes. Beautiful Tokyo drift style. Deja vu indeed. As he goes around. And we continue back to our live coverage. Beaver has made his way past Urko. So Beaver up to the top 5. And Bozak setting the fastest lap of the race so far with a 154.19. 185. We're being shown on the left side of the screen. I've only got 1 decimal point, I must say, on the timing sheet that I'm using. You got 3. So obviously 185 rounded up is 19. Quick maths. As we do broadcaster maths here. It's not very good. AJ and Urko still in a big battle though. 5 viewers watching, thank you very much for tuning in. Be sure to send love to your favorite driver. As well out on track as we've got a good battle heating up here. AJ to the inside of Urko. Urko's going to have the defensive line as we head to the chicane though. It's not going to be enough for AJ to make that move. Still looked like there was a car parked on the left-hand side of the track. So that might still be Nodovan just sitting there trying to get something sorted out. We have seen issues recently. I've heard of a couple where there have been issues of some hardware malfunctions in regards to a headset. If you're running VR, virtual reality, and really immersing yourself into these races, I've seen it quite a few times. That has not come to fruition at any point because it has black screened on some of these drivers as there's a bit of a lockup from Viker Pilot right in front of DC, and DC is going to try and make that move, not wanting to stay behind that machine any further, and around goes DC with a big spin into pit road, and that is how you change tires. That was possibly the most amazing piece of driving to keep it off the wall that we have ever borne witness to. We're going to take a quick look at that one. And have a look from inside the cockpit. Grabbing the curb, having a bit of a spin, trying to get it round. Thankfully missing the wall, and down we go. Absolutely phenomenal stuff. That was incredible. As we're going to check back closer towards the front in the 5th position. Beaver and AJ fighting, for the 6th position, AJ and Urko. Beaver a little bit ways down the road. Black Bob also has his own battle in the 3rd position with Simply Steve. And we might pan to that one as that one's looking a little bit closer right now. Sniffing the rear end of Black Bob does Simply Steve. Simply Steve, we're going to see if he's going to make a move. The draft's so powerful in these LMP3 machines. Not a whole lot of power to get it done, though. Great respect from both drivers, hopping the curb on one side and getting way out of track limits on the other. And thankfully, both drivers make it through without a problem and get it all done. No ifs or buts. Here in Spain, the curbs are bigger. The track is wider. At least that would appear to be the case, as Simply Steve has taken over that 3rd place spot right now. And Black Bob is going to have to try and find another way through. This first twisty section, you can go through there pretty much flat out until you get to this sort of more windy stuff. See, this is where they're heading right now. We might actually go and take a full lap on board so you can see a better understanding of how this is actually unfolding. So we're going to let's jump on board with Urko. How about that? And I can tell you this, we're sitting a little bit higher up in the machine right now than the driver is for sure. So these drivers will be seeing a lot more of an elevation change than we are seeing here. It has to be stressed that that chicane that he just went through is quite a hefty one. As we switch to showing you the gaps between each drivers rather than the interval to the leader. Right in front of what we're watching, right there goes AJ for a little bit of an excursion. I think a little bit of a wrong direction, I would say, but maybe he had a terrible navigator. As I shouldn't say that. He did definitely lock up the brakes, and it seemed like just trying to get a little bit too crazy on the throttle. As we might take a full lap on board Beaver, since he is in a battle right now, and he's just past the start-finish line, so we almost saw a full lap there. You can see heavy braking zone into T1. Right in front of him, Black Bob and Simply Steve, so this is turning into a very good three-car battle. Up that right-hander, through the left-hander. These are all almost kinks at this point. These drivers can take them pretty quick. Left-hand braking. Oh, a little bit of a lock-up. Potentially some beating and banging right there with Black Bob. Beaver still hanging on to the rear end, not able to do so. Hard right-hander there. As we come over the crest of the hill, Black Bob has to give way. A little bit of a bobble out of that machine. And the 666 has to give way to Beaver as we make our way full circle, and that is back to the downhill chicane. Beaver losing a lot of time to Simply Steve with that fight with Black Bob, so gonna have to dig deep and work his way back up to where Simply Steve is out on track. You can see just ahead, he is closing that gap ever so slowly. But on that straight, just pulling away is Simply Steve. This is the part we didn't show you on the gyro cam. A quick little look down a long back straight. A very, very tight chicane, the slowest part of the circuit. And then a quick right left back towards the start-finish straight. Interesting to see Simply Steve all the way to the inside, potentially trying to take away the drafting opportunity from Beaver behind, and Beaver is really playing around with that thing. You can see the hands switching left, right, every which way. Trying desperately to keep that car under control. Bro Sidon is making his way up to the back of Biker Pilot. As I'm thoroughly impressed with this 20-lap event that we have had so much with a track like this, quite technical and quite large. But we've had so many battles on track to this point. It has been great to see. Poseidon really catching up to the back bumper of Biker Pilot here. And Biker Pilot goes for a little bit of a spin. Somehow managing to keep it pointed the right direction. Not sure how he managed to do that. His hands must have been going crazy in the cockpit, as he is able to get that one done and dialed in. We've got a report that last lap Garlic Dog had an incident. That is not a good thing to see. Coming into the hairpin, the slowest part of the track. And yeah, just really just getting too much on the brakes. So these cars, just like a lot of prototypes on the sim and in the real lives. God, I could have said that better. And in real life, they make it so that if you brake while you're turning, it's not really recommended. It's not such a good idea. As we check back in with Simply Steve and Nick Beaver, very much unsettles the cars. And if you lock up one of the wheels, especially the back end, the rear, I find, tends to lock up a lot easier than the front end. A lot of these LMP3 machines. And that will spin you around straight away as the front end keeps driving forward and the rear end stops. Not much the car can do, except do the old switcheroo. Back goes to the front. And Bob is our uncle. Nick Beaver and Simply Steve still having a good battle at it so far. You ever wonder where those expressions come from, just by the way? Just real quick. Bob's your uncle. Like, someone obviously had an Uncle Bob at some point. But I'm not sure how an expression like that got started. One of my favorite ones. Definitely one about the cigarette. Oh, Prince Adam has crashed. And AJ. Oh, I hope they weren't involved in one another. With one another. Not involved in that way. I know what you're thinking. As there goes for a spin. That was AJ. A self-spin once again. These corners not liking these cars. Prince Adam having a self-spin as well. Whoa. Almost deja vu'd it perfectly. Not quite as good as Garlic Dog we saw earlier in the race. Garlic Dog having their own incident once again. Yeah, so these drivers... look, you can say what you want about the drivers. The drivers are actually very, very good at what they do. This track, I'm going to say, would be very, very hot. I almost wonder if that is the case. As we're going to look at the dashboard of Simply Steve as he rides behind Nick Beaver, as he did get overtaken for the lead. Not for the lead, for the third place position. And we're going to see how that exactly happened in the very tight hairpin. The old switcheroo over and under. Great pass there by Beaver. And the only reason that was really facilitated was because of the lockup from Simply Steve. Not allowing that car to stop in the quickest amount of time. I know most of us are probably sim racers, or racers in real life potentially as well. But just in case you weren't aware, a lockup is basically when you get on the brakes a little bit too hard. And no anti-lock braking system, no ABS like you get in a road car. None of that driver assistance here in an LMP3 machine. And basically what that does is you get on the brakes too hard. Tyre is not going to be able to cope. It's stopping faster than it wants to. And simply put, it'll get caught on it'll get caught during a rotation. So it won't actually keep spinning. And it just stops dead. And that basically means you have almost no stopping power at that point. And you burn the tyre off completely. So not a good thing to do, essentially. Is it the fastest way to brake? It can be, if you use it very sparingly. But definitely one to keep your eye on, as it does very much unbalance the car and chew up the tyres. Fastest lap of the race. Bozak, the only one to get it down underneath 54, apart from Nick Beaver sitting in the third place position. Just set one below there, as they both set their fastest times of the race. Halfway through this one. So don't go anywhere, as we have a... Oh, excuse me. I say halfway on the lap count, but these are timed races. I have to remember that. 20 minutes, as it looks like we had a little bit of a bobble from Eat My Dust. Now that is... Well, that's not good. Let's say that. As he was sitting in the second position, was probably going to be able to hold off Beaver and maybe stick with that second place spot. Unfortunately, does not look like he was able to, as he had a little bit of a spin. So we'll take a look at exactly how that spin came about, because I wanted to take a look and see. As, yeah, that right-hander. So that right-handed corner doesn't look a whole lot, I must admit. However, it is off-cambered, and it's at the top of a run. Prince Adam coming in with a couple of crashes in succession obviously showing up as a crash. Could just be a self-spin. Absolutely no brakes used in that one. Getting it back dialed in, and then as he was coming out of the start-finish straight, has another bit of an issue. A little bit of a spin right in front. Here comes Garlic Dog, and thankfully not still on track when the dog comes a-chomping. I don't know what I was going with that one. As we check in with the leader, we haven't done so most of this race, but Bozak doing a fantastic job keeping it out front. And all he's got to do is keep it together. As this will be the final lap of the race. As we hit that 20-minute mark, have a very short intermission, and then come back with a 30-minute feature event. So we'll take a look at the speed radar, tachometer, speedometer, however you want to say it. Mile per hour thingy, bottom right hand corner. And we'll take a look at just how fast he's able to get on this, the longest straight of the course right now. Up into 5th gear at just under 130 mile an hour. Going to make his way into 6th. Getting towards 154. And just off of 155, I might have seen for a little bit of a blink there as he makes his way all the way down to less than 30 at 1st gear, making his way across the line. And that is going to be all she wrote. As Bozak takes it home with a victory here tonight. Fastest lap of the race was set by Beaver in the 2nd position. 153.4. Right at the end of the race. Just makes you wonder if he had anything for Bozak. As it looks like time-wise, they were pretty much on par with one another. We'll have to see as we make our way to next racing event. Still a couple cars yet to make their way past the start-finish line. AJ is one of them as he goes for a bit of a wild ride. And gonna take himself down pit road. Very final lap, so that's an interesting decision as Garlic Dog left all to his lonesome. His final way down. Now, from what I've heard, we could potentially, as I've been let know once again by our main man, Mason Heimbaugh, has let me know that we may have a couple of driver interviews if the drivers choose to come and be interviewed, that is. Gonna wait and see what the drivers want to do. Of course, there is no reason for them to come in if they not wish to. It's all on the driver. Finishing results weren't up for very long there before we switched into our other session, but we were able to see, sure, the winner and second place, the winner of Bozak, second place of Nick Beaver. I believe third place was Black Bob, I believe. I could be wrong. My memory is about that of a goldfish. So, unfortunately, that's just how it goes sometimes, really. as it's really unfortunate that we're stuck in this position where we can't really see the results as of right now, as we've gone into a warm-up between the two sessions. Seeing if someone wants to join me in the booth, Just sent out the invite, so we're going to see if anyone will join us. If not, of course, there's no reason for them to join us. It's entirely up to the drivers. As the only car on track. Oh, we got a beaver. We have a beaver in the broadcast booth. Beaver, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
I'm fantastic, but I bet I'm not feeling quite as good as you are.
I'm in a pretty good mood. On top of a second place finish, a podium's always fun. I'm wearing a hot dog suit.
You're wearing a hot dog suit.
Yep, I'm in a costume that looks like a hot dog.
Okay, that's
Kinda
awesome.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm in a good mood. That was a good race,
That
and I'm looking.
Yeah, I sorry, yeah, that looked like a great race. I mean, you made your way through the field. It looked like you may have had an interesting battle. If you were up there with Bozak, you would have had a
Yeah.
pretty good battle. The two of you were setting lap times pretty similar to one another.
Yeah. I First of all, welcome. It's great to have a new voice here.
Oh,
But
thank you.
second, so I have a I tend to try to kind of start mid pack to back if I can. I find it to be more fun to try to run through the field if possible. Um, so that was kind of my strategy tonight. But I put myself in a good position to make kind of go towards the back of the invert. So it'll be Bozak and myself. Um, starting kind of in the back of the invert, and I think it's going to be fun to see which one of us can make it through the field. But yeah, it's a tight pack, tight group of guys. A lot of fun to race with.
Yeah, well, it certainly seemed that way. Now, let us know of that inversion. I'm assuming it's the entire grid. Unfortunately, I was kind of brought in here
Yeah.
right at the final moments as my colleague Mason Heimbaugh was having a bit of a sickness problem. But
Ah, yes.
yeah, so I'm still trying to work out how everything's kind of going, but I'm trying to do the best I can. And it's been
Yeah.
great fun watching you guys out on track. Now, I have to ask, the hot dog suit, has it got a mustard
Yeah.
streak on it?
It absolutely does have a mustard streak on it. Yes.
Beautiful. That's the viewers need to know. All right.
They do. So yeah, if the reference comes from the show, I think you should leave. I don't know if you've seen it. It's hilarious. It's amazing. But anyway, there's a skit where a guy wears a hot dog costume and he kind of tries to blow it off like he's not the guy that caused the issue. Anyway, worth watching. You should watch it. Everyone should watch it. It's awesome. So that's what I'm wearing. I'm wearing that hot dog costume, and I guess gonna try to find my way back to Wiener Hall.
Or the Wiener Circle. up here.
That was good. That was good. Yep. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, someone write that down. That was good. Yeah, but I did dodge your first question. The question was on the invert. So they're gonna invert 8. And the field's not huge tonight, so it's it's a good chunk of the field, but 8 is the invert. So we'll be starting 7th in this next upcoming race in this hot dog costume.
Nice. Now, how's the track temp on? Before you go, we'll just ask you a couple more questions. Oh, one more question. How's the track temp at Aragon here in Spain? Because it's usually pretty hot in Spain, and
Yeah.
we've seen a lot of drivers having a bit of a grip issue. Go with that.
Right. So, currently the temperature is 27°C, the track temp. And for the people that don't like to use easy math, that is 81°F. So it's actually pretty cool. Very cool. So a nice cool day in Spain. All the practices I've been in, I think 25 to 26°C. So it's very similar to practice. Half the corners on this track are the braking zones are curved, so it's very easy to lock up. And this one particular section where it's a right hand downhill into a sharp left hand, sometimes the car does this really weird thing where in the right hand you lock up the right front and you try to transition to the left, to the left, and the left front locks up, and you get this really weird grip situation, something I've never felt before in any car at any track. So I saw a couple people struggle with that, lock up the right front, lock up the left front at different times. It really just upsets the car. So this track is definitely unique in the sense that there are unique braking zones, which makes it a lot of fun and a big challenge in this LMP3.
Yeah, well, we have seen certainly a lot of challenges, so it certainly seems like that's what's going on, and a lot of lockups and everything else you were saying. I gotta admit that I was trying to I was trying to adjust some stuff here in the booth as well. But look, Beaver, we're gonna have to let you go. Unfortunately, I don't really want to because I'm having a ball talking to you up here,
Yeah.
but I'm gonna have to let you go and actually focus on driving. So, thanks for joining me up here in the booth, and hopefully you do pretty well. And I'm looking forward to seeing you drive your way through the field once again.
Yeah, I'd love to chat again. Find my way to the Wiener Circle. So, yep, that'll be the goal. Hopefully, we can make something happen. 40 minutes, long race. So, hopefully the league can keep things interesting for you. Enough to talk about. Anyway, thank you for your time. Glad to have you here.
I should be saying that. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, of course.
You're the one talking about. Anyway, doesn't matter. You best be going. So where do you want to be put, or do you want me to just put you in the waiting room and sort it out?
I'll sort it out. Thank you.
Sweet. All right. Talk to you later. I'm sure we will.
Yeah. Yep. Bye now.
All right. That was Beaver in the waiting room with us, and honestly, that was a lot of fun. Seemed like a very, very upbeat person. So I'm very much looking forward to talking to him potentially, and if not, I'm sure a lot of the other drivers in here are very much good blokes as well. So we're going to look forward to seeing anyone joining us up here in the booth at the end of our next race as we get ready for it. Hopefully you cannot hear the pitter-patter of my keyboard as I type things in. That would be ideal. As we get ready for another race, the 30-minute feature event here tonight. Biker Pilot starting on pole with that inverted top 8. Beaver letting us know just what the go is here tonight. So, Biker Pilot starting at the front row alongside with Brosidon, and hopefully being able to fend off a lot of the drivers coming through behind, with Urko and Black Bob in the 3rd and 4th positions. Eat My Dust and Simply Steve in the 5th and 6th spots, with Beaver and Bozak your second and first place finishes, as Simply Steve was able to take home the third position. So we're going to make sure we keep looking. Keep an eye on everything right now. Gonna also, might as well read out the other positions, Garlic Dog and AJ in the 9th and 10th spots, with Nodovan and Prince Adam the 11th and 12th position, cycling it on back to DC and Book 13th and 14th positions, with JR McKinnon 15th and McMurk in the 16th spot. Now Book, McKinnon and McMurk, all three drivers are not showing up, as they have done, or as they have made their way out onto the track, so potentially haven't made their way out as of yet. We will bring back this little thing showing you here with the weather at the moment. We're showing it as only 76 degrees Fahrenheit, so not that warm as we were saying earlier. Some of these drivers using the tires to lock up to get the tires warm. Now that's a good strategy. I've never actually thought about doing that before. So obviously Team Goon Squad Broadcasting, you bringing you this action once again. Not Mason Heimbaugh though. Gareth McAllister, otherwise known as the G-Spot, and home this one. So the lights come on the LMP3 machines as we head with a big shift into the early goings of Twilight. Don't worry, this will be a better love story than Twilight, so it should be good, as pretty much everything's a better love story than Twilight. And I'm sorry if you're a Twilight fan, but let's be honest, who is a Twilight fan? M-Chief, bring it. My money's on the broadcaster. Thank you very much, and I know exactly who that is. That is our good friend Jeremy Barber, letting us hear his support. We thank him very much for that. And adding some new faces to the stream. 8 people have joined us for the feature event. Thank you very much for tuning in. Taking over today's event, or tonight's event I should say, from Mason Heimbaugh, the usual broadcaster. Must admit, I always get his name wrong. It's Mason Heimbaugh or Mason... I'm pretty sure that's right. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Mason, if you're listening, I'm sorry. As we take over the broadcasting duties here in Down Under. A nice, crisp Thursday morning for me. The Tube Surfer, let's go Urko. Urko's got some backing in the chat. That is great to see. As Urko's starting in the second row right now, so he is going to be looking forward to a good position out of this one. Currently on the inside line. As you can see, they make their way around that tricky hairpin. They're going to have to all scrunch back up like an accordion as we get ready to go once again. Porsche 911 makes its way into pit lane.
Green, green, green.
And we're back to green flag racing. Biker Pilot with a huge jump, wanting to waste no time at all. Gonna have to get heavy on the brakes. Might be a little bit too much or not enough, as he is off the track, making everyone go 3 wide through the right-handed kink there on the right-hand side. Letting everyone go through without too much of an issue though. Great job, as he allows everyone to overtake with relative ease. Simply Steve has just made his way around. Black Bob, Eat My Dust, is trying, and Simply Steve has a little bit of an issue. 3 wide as they head to the right-hand side into a heavy braking zone. Thankfully, a lot of these guys are teammates and just phenomenal racers as they get themselves dialed back down. Bozak has had a very rough start, as opposed to Beaver's very good one, as that could definitely shake things up from what we saw in tonight's earlier event. As it looks like AJ is now fighting Bozak. on the inside line is AJ. Going to have to allow enough room. A lot of these cars driving wide, especially on lap 1 while the tyres are still cold. AJ's still going to be sitting on that inside line, so Bozak is going to have to work his way around and somehow does it. Amazing driving from the 906 machine. As DC goes for a little bit of a dive on AJ, nothing doing, has to sort himself out a little bit back further. Looked like Biker Pilot had a bit of a lock-up himself, as Prince Adam had to check up just behind. A lot of these drivers very, very close together as they head towards the hairpin. We jump back up front. Eat My Dust and Urko Brosidon leading the way with Beaver in 4th position. These drivers separated themselves from the 5th spot by a almost 2-second gap right now. And it continues to grow as Brosidon sets the fastest lap of the race. May have only been lap 1. We're getting ready. The feature race being a 40-minute race, not 30-minute. Thank you, Mason, for leading me astray on that one. Nah, it's all good. As it looks like there's a little bit of an issue from Urko. Has a little bit of a bobble. Keeps it together. And he's still doing a pretty phenomenal job. Gonna have to watch out for spinning anywhere on this track. As we heard Beaver say earlier on, it's pretty easy to lock up the tires and have a bit of a spin. These 4 drivers still sitting nose to tail. They do not want to let each other have any breathing room. Absolutely incredible. And there's a little bit of an issue from Eat My Dust. That has allowed Beaver to go through. Eat My Dust sent it a little bit wide to a very slow right-hand section, and Beaver taking full advantage. Donovan currently your highest mover in the 6th position right now, up 5 spots from where he started. In the 6th place position, excuse me. Showing 7th on the side of his machine as he did make a pass on Black Bob, so that will update. There it is, as he just set the fastest lap of the race, 1:55.3. So these drivers not putting the hammer down just as quickly as they're still trying to get those tires back up to temp. Ooh, major lock-up from in front, and that's probably going to be Urko or Beaver, one of the two, as they are side by side right now. Heading into a very, very difficult right-handed kink, and it looks like Urko had a little bit of a slow exit there. Is that going to be enough for Beaver to take advantage? Still side by side in the chicane. Beaver's going to have the advantage on that one. Eat My Dust may also follow through and does so, and even Simply Steve is looking to take advantage. Urko falling back and fading fast. Points to you if you can think of where that quote comes from, as Nodovan also tries to make a dive. Not able to do so. Urko finally finding his rhythm. And these machines are following in a very, very tight pack. Beaver, Eat My Dust, Simply Steve, Urko, Nodovan, Black Bob, Bozak, all pretty much nose to tail. Standing out a little bit more as we get to the straightaway, but they're going to close back up as they head towards the hairpin at the far end of the racetrack. Oh, Simply Steve not quite getting it locked down enough. Urko almost had an opportunity there. Wasn't enough room to take advantage though, and he's going to be chased right on the back bumper by Nodovan. Now Nodovan is going to have the run, especially with this draft down the back straight. The front straight, I should say. The back straight was, we just passed that. And these battles continue to rage on. Donovan trying every which way to pass Urko. Urko with a huge lockup, and it's going to mean that he can't get as much braking force into the car as he would like. Donovan's not going to have enough room to go around, though, unless he does an over-under move, which may be what he's going for right now. They're going to be side by side heading into the tricky downhill hairpin. Or chicane. Let's try and get my track knowledge back up to date. Urko's still hanging on desperately as Donovan tried something on the outside line. He's going to be able to have the cutback, though. Once again, side by side. As you can see, Bozak in the distance at the back, having a bit of an off-track moment. And there's a big dive from Donovan. Not able to do it. Urko still retains the position. Black Bob's going to try and get his nose in there now. And does so on the outside as a little bit of a slowdown maybe had. Bozak goes for a little bit of a lockup as well. This is absolutely awesome. As Donovan still in the heat of this battle, and look who's found his way towards the pack. It's AJ with a nice big shunt. Going to try and make his way around. They're going to send it 3 wide into the hairpin. This is not going to end well. I can't imagine it will, as they're still side by side. It's looking like they're not going to allow enough room for AJ to be involved in that one. He has to give up the spot. Donovan on the outside line has the advantage, but Black Bob manages to stay under throttle, and Donovan has a bit of an issue. As Beaver took over the race lead, we were too busy watching this absolutely epic bout of a battle. We're going to have a look at exactly what happened when Beaver passed for P1, because that is certainly something we should look at. As Brosidon was on the outside line, just getting the run using the draft on the back stretch and able to take advantage into the hairpin. A little bit of a lock-up trying to get the power down too quickly, and Brosidon had a little bit of an issue. Little bit of a bobble coming out as well, which allowed Beaver to get as much of a gap as he has. Oh, and Bozak goes for another little bit of a spin. So Bozak having a lot of struggle starting back in the pack. Actually lost 1 spot so far in this race, leading us to question what happened to his form at the end of the previous event. And it sounds so simple, but if you get out of your rig, go have a snack, go to the toilet, whatever it may be during the warm-up between races, that can be all it takes to really get your head out of the zone and really affect your performance. As AJ has a little bit of an issue, Bozak allows enough room for the car to be there if AJ so chose, and I believe AJ let him through. Regardless, he will have the run down the back straight, but I'm not sure if it's going to be enough. Not even looking like he wants to show Black Bob that he is prepared to send it in if required. Trying to make Black Bob have a little bit of a bobble, and it looks like it may have almost paid off. Donovan's going to have a run into turn 1 as they come back past the start-finish straight. Nick Beaver setting the fastest lap of the race with a 53.7. Not quite as fast as his fastest lap of the race in the heat race beforehand. Heat race beforehand, he got a 153.4, so 0.3 quicker what he was able to do so far tonight. Although he has only been on track about half of distance of what he managed to do last time by when he made that happen. We did get a report a lap ago. Prince Adam had a crash and actually jumped to the pit lane. So I'm sorry, Prince Adam, we're going to have to put you on blast, as we are also put on blast as well, as we have a little bit of crack up here in the booth. And just a little bit of a self-spin, but that may be enough for Prince Adam to go, you know what, I'm done. As Prince Adam, one of those drivers who we were very much a big part of, well, he was very much a big part of getting me introduced into the Just Two Idiots Cup Series. If you're interested, definitely go check them out. As a bunch of fun-loving, welcoming guys. And gals, I should say. Not sure if any gals have made it on to the track right now, but that is perfectly alright. As it looked like Urko was sniffing the rear end of Bruce Siden's machine just then. Jump on board with Urko as, interestingly enough, Simply Steve has come down pit road. And Urko goes for a spin as well. What is happening here? Gonna have to wait for traffic to go by. And what has happened? Gonna have a look at Urko's crash. And it says crash report. I should say spin, as I did see it, and it definitely was a spin. But unfortunately, Urko once again just struggling real hard. T1. It's a little bit too much angle put into the steering wheel. That car not happy with the amount of pace it was taking. While doing that, we're going to have a look at what happened to Simply Steve. Let's see if we can have a look at what happened to Simply Steve. Simply Steve went off and then seemed okay. Not sure what happened to Simply Steve. Black Bob has had an incident very recently, and there's the spin, and there's a crash. And that is going to be Nonovan, I believe. Yes, Nonovan was involved in that one with Black Bob. And that has got to be felt. As we check in with the leader, Nick Beaver making his way back to the front straight. He's got a good 3.5 second lead over Eat My Dust. These drivers have done an amazing job, it must be said. Quite the spectacle has been shown here tonight as Nonovan is catching back up to the back bumper of AJ. After AJ made his way through on Nonovan's accident. Donovan using all of the racetrack here. You can see absolutely every inch. He paid for the whole track and he will use the whole track. Staying off of the sausage curb though, very wise decision in these LMP3 machines. As this is by far and away the closest battle on track right now. AJ is going to be feeling that pressure. Ain't no doubt about that. Donovan still right on the back bumper, lifting just a little bit there to make it through the corner. And it looks like AJ is going to have the advantage. AJ is going to have to be careful not to lock up the car at all, as he's currently being chased down by Donovan. Maybe it's not a vein. No, it wouldn't be. It's Donovan. That's right. Yeah, that spelling. Mind you, Eat My Dust is spelled Et Me Dust. So, go figure. As the J2I Cup Series tends to do this quite a bit. And there is a pass right there for 5th place. Donovan sticking his nose to the inside. And AJ has no answer for it. He has to give way. As Donovan basically parked his car directly in front. And said, hey man, this is a traffic jam. You ain't getting past unless you run me over. But AJ is not letting him get away as easily as I thought Donovan might be able to. AJ still hanging on the back end and hanging on pretty well. Black Bob is trying to ease his way into the picture as well in the background. See if he can close that gap. Speaking of closing the gap, Bozak has found the form we were wondering if he was going to. And he's catching up to the back end of Rosidon. Gonna have to take a look at that one. As we are almost halfway through this event. Ozak trying desperately to find the form that he has lost. And it looks like he may have found it as he's closing that gap ever so slowly. And AJ is still sitting on the back bumper of Nodovan. Not letting him get anywhere either. So a 154.58 for Bozak. These cars a little bit slower than what they were earlier on as the clouds begin to darken the skies. And AJ had a little bit of a bobble there. That's going to put an end to his challenge with Nodovan as Bozak and Rosidon go side by side. Bozak is going to take that one away. So we hope we can do the job for you that you deserve here with the Team Squad broadcasting crew. As Bozak, look how much track. It's got to be said, he's using all the track and very, very smoothly. Look at just see the lines and the balance of that race car. It's absolutely phenomenal as he was heading through that section. So we've been trying all race, believe you me, to get that track map working, but it just does not seem to want to come to life for us tonight. So my apologies. As we have a report that Biker Pilot crashed. Oh no. Biker Pilot, another one of those drivers that was very, very welcoming to the series, and that is... well, that's about as locked up as you can get. AJ has been entered into the pit lane. So it's interesting to note whether these drivers are able to make their whole way down. Or if not, I would assume not, as I've seen a couple of drivers now come down pit lane. Unless they have obviously exceeded the incident limit requiring a drive-through, which may also be the case. As AJ has come down, and that means that he's going to have to give up 4 positions. That is absolute brutal. And unfortunately for AJ, he's going to find himself sitting in the 10th position. We're going to swap to our driver cam once again. And Bozak, there we go. We can give you a full tour of this track right now as Bozak is just about to head to start a lap. There is the start-finish line, and boom, heavy braking zone into T1. Can cut that corner quite a bit more than you think. He runs a little bit wide on exit, and this right-hander designed these two to really unsettle the car and trying to make you really decide on your life choices if you want to hold it throttle there or not. Very slow into the left-hander there as a double left-hander. And a slow right-hand corner that rapidly increases in difficulty. Braking zone while cornering, never a fun one to do. He's riding those curbs into that downhill chicane we were talking about earlier on. A little bit of a lock-up just in front from Eat My Dust. Not too far down the road. And this left-hander here, I'm not sure if you can hear that or see it on his wheel, but he actually lifted just a little bit there. And that sweeping left-hander always making you question why you can't go throttle. A lot of that going on for a very slow left-hander into a right-handed sweeper. You can keep the power down. A very short straight to a tricky right-left once again. The longest straight on the track itself. And look at the view you get out the windscreen. Absolutely phenomenal. And it just seems like it goes on and on and on as you go down the hill. Slight crest up into the braking zone. Heavy braking into the hairpin. And we are back to where we started this lap with that short right-hand kink. Cannot go full throttle, but you can on the left-hand kink. And he does so as he makes his way around for a full lap of Motorland Aragon. So that was on board Bozak's 906 machine, sitting in the third place on track right now, and ever so slowly closing the gap to second. Fastest lap of his particular race was set by Black Bob with a new PB. Great to see. Urko has come down pit road. And so has Biker Pilot. As you can see, he's just entered there. As they're going to get some fuel dumped into those machines. As they make their way through the road. Exit. There goes Urko making his way out of pit road. Down there for a solid 40.32 seconds from pit entry to pit exit in his pit stall for about 13.3 seconds getting fuel in the car. Biker Pilot only for 12.5. So Biker Pilot has made a little bit of a gain on Urko there just in pit lane. It's not going to be enough though, as he's still sitting about 11 seconds back from Urko. Want to keep an eye on a couple of these battles. Nodovan is also closing the gap to Brosidon, as well as Bozak closing the gap to Eat My Dust. And Beaver just setting the fastest lap of the race, continuing where he left off from the last event with a 153.48. And Brosidon with a 155.138. So that's going to be a little bit slower than Nodovan, who is about 4/10 faster that lap and closing the gap due to that. As we're still watching these guys go round Motorland Aragon. Nodovan with a little bit of a tank slapper there. Able to keep it together though. Almost looked like he was attempting a Scandi flick as well into the chicane there. Sure that was what he meant to do. As that has basically stalled his progress a little bit, catching up to Poseidon. AJ coming down pit road. He is down pit road. Garlic Dog as well, making his way out. Back onto the circuit. So the top 5 drivers have not come down pit road as of yet. Beaver, Eat My Dust, Bozak, Poseidon, and Nodovan. The only drivers who have not come down pit road. As we say that, of course, Beaver working his way into the pit lane. Eat My Dust going to follow through. Will Bozak take over the lead? And yes, he will. So that could spice some things up. As Bozak stays out, and he's going to have to absolutely let fly with this next lap. He wants to catch up to Beaver sitting in front, as well as Itmadust, who is also sitting in front, as all 4 of the other drivers all coming down pit road. Alright, as Beaver and Etmadust have made their way out. Poseidon and Nodovan still sitting in there. Poseidon is going to just beat Nodovan out. That's going to be a good close battle. Going to take a look at that one because there they are. They go through pit exit and Nodovan is right on the back bumper of Poseidon. A stellar stop from Nodovan. Almost a full second quicker getting fuel in that machine. Gotta wonder if that's enough to make it to the end, but he's gonna send it to the inside of the right-hander. And both cars run wider than they want to. Nodovan has a very interesting wobble coming out of the corner. Poseidon's gonna take that one back. And Black Bob is closing the gap behind them. These 2 drivers better be wary. The 666 machine is coming and coming in hot. You can see in the background there, making his way through. Often really closing that gap up to Poseidon once again. Poseidon got a nice jump earlier on, so we're going to have to see if that one comes to fruition. Bozak has come down pit road. We will see where he manages to come out. We've just got over 10 minutes left in this one. Beaver's made his way past. Will Eat My Dust stay in front of Bozak? It's going to be a tough call. Eat My Dust stays in front just barely. And we got 2 fights on our hands right now. So Eat My Dust and Bozak fighting for the 2nd place position. The 5th place position changing hands right now as Black Bob has made his way through Poseidon. Poseidon had a bit of a spin. Gonna have to have a look at that one. As he was trying desperately to fend off Nodovan, and that little bobble on the entry has probably unsettled the car just enough to swing that machine around, and that is gotta hurt. Oh no! What has happened? Nodovan had a spin. Black Bob could not get the car stopped. Rips the front end off. Oh my. So we have to look at this one. There is no getting around it. Comes Black Bob, can't see the car, and bang. Tries desperately to slow it down, almost followed suit. He You can see the front fender just by itself, just dragging along the ground. That is absolutely brutal. Thankfully, a very small incident where no driver will be seriously hurt, but sure, Nodovan is going to be feeling the lack of downforce from having no front wing, or no front at all, to be honest. And Nodovan has come down pit road, as it's showing Nodovan having another incident. Let's take a quick look at that one, as he was following those two drivers behind, does not have a front end at all, and just decides, yeah, that's going to be that. So Nodovan, unfortunately, after having quite a good run here tonight, is going to be cut short by about 10 minutes. Speaking of 10 minutes, will Eat My Dust be able to hold off Bozak? Find out next time on the next episode of... Yeah, no, we're going to find this out pretty soon. As Bozak is following very, very closely behind Eat My Dust. Eat My Dust is going to have to be on the heavily defensive side of things. As Bozak, we've seen so often, has the pace. Gets a nice run out of the corner, does Bozak. He's going to set him up for this very, very tight hairpin. Draft doing its thing. Ooh, side by side. Eat My Dust definitely not wanting to give up the inside line. Doesn't. Somehow both drivers manage to stay side by side. And they stay together. Absolutely incredible stuff as they're still battling side by side. Must say that time delta sheet is a little bit hard to read. So we're going to ignore that one. Bozak is going to have his work cut out for him to get this second place spot. Eat My Dust knows how to defend, and showing a perfect example of that. Black Bob has come down pit lane. Eat My Dust still heavily defending Bozak as they still trail each other. They've got 6 minutes left to decide the winner of this one. And it is going to be very, very close indeed. Eat My Dust holding Bozak off for an entire lap at this point. We'll have to do a couple more if he wants to see that checkered flag with him in the second position. Ooh, a little bit of... It was not a lockup. I thought it was going to be, but it turned out it was just really hard braking, good braking as well from Bozak. There's a little bit of a bubble coming off the exit of that little kink on the right-hand side. That is going to allow Eat My Dust to grab a little bit of a gap, 0.6 of a second. Which does not sound like much. Abusing the off-tracks is Bozak. He desperately wants to get up there and take this spot away. Phenomenal racing from these two drivers. Eat My Dust is not letting him have it without a fight. It's exactly what we come here to see. Just Two Idiots Cup Series, full of drivers who are very, very good at what they do and very, very respectful. Fighting for position, but not causing any major incidents. And there goes around Bozak as soon as I say the word incident. Of course we have one. The commentator's curse striking once again. You never get away from it as Bozak goes for a self-spin, and that may just ruin his chances at a second place here tonight. Still very much on the podium, but not looking ideal. Bozak had a little bit of a spin, and unfortunately, that is definitely going to cost him. Going to check back in with Garlic Dog, and we probably shouldn't have, as we reckon that we probably caused that. But phenomenal. I kind of want to, like, I almost want to go back and watch that again. His wheel inputs must have been absolutely dramatic. I'm going to go back and have a look because I feel like I desperately need to see this. Alright, this is in real time. No trickery, speeding up. Whoa! And now that is some true skill. Doesn't matter what you say, that was incredible driving right there. Garlic Dog knowing how to keep that car pointed the right direction, as he has done some incredible driving just then. We've got just over 2 minutes left to go in this one. Take a look back at your race leader. So a couple things showing at the bottom and around the screen. Apologies for that. Trying different things, and some of them not working all that well, I must admit. Still here. Thank you for sticking around. We've only got about a minute left, so this will be the final lap that Nick Beaver is about to start. I'm almost 100% certain that it is Nick Beaver. If it is not Nick Beaver and it's a different Beaver, I can only apologize. I'm pretty sure I'm right, but if I am wrong, I'm going to have to ask him in the interview, and I will look like a, trying to say like a bit of a numpty. Let's say numpty. That's probably the nicest word I can think of to say while we're broadcasting. And that's describing myself, of course, no one else, so I guess I could call myself whatever I wanted, unless I got offended at myself. Interesting. Huh. Never thought about that. Anyway, Beaver making his way around the final series of times he's going to go around the start of the track. Now, interestingly enough, Rosidon has been catching the back bumper of Urko, but they only have one lap to go. I'm not sure it's going to be enough to catch up to the rear taillights of Urko in the 4th position. Urko may just be too far out of reach. A new PB set by Black Bob in the 6th place car. And he has done a great job in the 666 machine with a 1:4.51. UPBs all across the board. Simply Steve and Garlic Dog also adding their names to their new PBs. Towards the end of a run, the tyres have heated up, and they've prepared as we get prepared as well to welcome Beaver to the Wiener Circle. As there goes Beaver to take the checkered flag. The hot dog suit must have the victory. I tried to work in mustard with must have the victory, and it didn't work. I'm going to put my shame on that one. as Eat My Dust comes down pit road on the final lap, potentially serving a penalty. Now that makes me wonder if officially, unless he's just decided that he doesn't want to go around this track again and packing it in early, as he comes to a stop, Bozak is going to take over the third place position. And as a bit of a hop on the curb there, surprisingly, keeps it underneath him. As he looks like he's trying to deliberately get something going in terms of a slide, and there she goes. Where she stops, nobody knows. Right on the exit of the corner, it looks like. As we await a couple of drivers to make their way back through racing surface, Biker Pilot going to make his way across the checkered flag. The 7th place spot, and Garlic Dog following him through. There we have it. So your results for tonight's event. Pull them up for you. Beaver taking it home in the top spot. Eat My Dust in second, with Bozak in third. Urko in the 4th spot. Poseidon locking it down in the 5th position. Black Bob with a very respectable 6th position, feeding into his 666 number requirement. Biker Pilot in the 7th position, with Garlic Dog in the 8th spot. Simply Steve in 9th. Donovan with that unfortunate incident, losing the front bumper, or the front of his car entirely, to the point where there was nothing but a cockpit and some wheels, in the 10th position. AJ with a spin earlier on, deciding to park it in the 11th spot. Prince Adam, unfortunately, not making a whole lot of a track here tonight, as well as DC in the 12th and 13th positions. Book, McKinnon, and McMurk did not start this race, and unfortunately, 21 laps down. We're going to get ready for some driver interviews here in just a moment. And bear with us as we get ready to pull those up for you. Don't go anywhere. So just waiting to see if we're going to have a couple of drivers come into the waiting room. Bieber is already there and waiting. See if Dust and Bozak would like an interview. And it's not looking super good right now. As we're still waiting for Dust, but we might do the reverse because we don't want to leave Beaver just waiting by himself the whole time. So we might bring Beaver into the booth with us. Sure, why not? Beaver, welcome to the booth. We're going to bring you in because it seems like no one else wants to talk to us. How are you feeling after that one?
I'm feeling pretty good after that one. How are you feeling after that one?
I'm feeling great. It slowed down a little bit towards the end there as people started separating into their own little space on track. But towards the start, man, oh man, you were involved in that 4-car absolutely insane battle that was lasting, what, 3, 4 laps? That was incredible at the start.
Yeah, ton of fun, and props to everyone else I've been involved. I think it was Eat My Dust, Airco, and shoot, I have the replay. And Bro Sidon. They all raced super clean, super respectful. So props to those guys. A lot of fun racing, actual side by side. Yeah, that was a fun first few laps. Unfortunately, after that, it got a little quiet, like you said. But I was keeping an eye on my relative, and it looked like there might have been battles throughout the field. Something to watch, I hope.
Yeah, there were, don't worry, there were quite a few battles for quite a while, and also just me talking a bit of shenanigans every so often to hopefully keep some viewers entertained if they
Yeah,
weren't feeling so much. But Beaver, the hot dog suit seemed to work pretty well for you tonight.
it did. I think the heat motivated me. It was not as hot as the first race, which was nice, and now I have a fan that's cooling places that air was not naturally getting to. So I'm feeling really good. The hot dog suit is very comfortable. um, it smells new. It's got that new costume scent.
Nice.
And now I've added a little bit of beaver odor to. Ooh!
Nice. Well,
Yeah. So
well, we hope you
so we're
enjoy
good.
your Halloween coming up soon, I believe. It's not too far
Yes,
away, is it?
that's next Tuesday. Yeah. A coworker and I both have hot dog costumes, so we're gonna wear those at work.
Oh, please tell me
Um,
one of you have mustard and the other one has like ketchup or something.
I don't know what the other costume has. I haven't seen it myself. So it will be a surprise, and I'm sure there will be pictures to share. But it's definitely going to be humorous. We work in a manufacturing environment, so you can imagine how a hot dog suit's going to fare in an environment like that.
Well, it could all be part of the manufacturing process. You never know. And
It's good.
so, but it takes a lot of skill to put a dog in a bun. Let's
It
um
is. It's got to be symmetric. You got to get the ratio of condiments to hot dog to bun correct. Otherwise, it's just all out of whack.
Oh, absolutely. No, I fully agree with you on that one. Well, Beaver, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you, and you've been one of the fastest cars on track all night. So it's been thrilling to watch you race through the field. Anyone you'd like to give a shout out to for the first place victory here tonight? A very, very good performance at Motorland, Oregon.
Shout out to everyone I mentioned earlier, Eat My Dust, Erico. Bozak came through the field. That's pretty good. Nice job. Congrats to him. A lot of respectful racing in this one and in the first event. So good job, guys. Thank you for taking Mason's spot and streaming tonight. I know that the field was thin. It's just like we had in the Super Formula League, where just a thin field. Not everybody is committed to buying this track. So it's probably not easy streaming a race with few cars. So thank you for sticking with us. Thank you for hopping in. It's great to have you here.
Oh, my absolute pleasure. This track is actually, funnily enough, like we saw in the Super Formula, it was actually a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I don't know how it fares in the LMP3, but I know with more downforce is probably more fun. But I will say as well, we've got let's just say, a friend of mine is asking in the chat if you're actually wearing a hot dog suit, because apparently there is no way.
Oh, okay. I don't know if you have the ability to put Discord on the stream, but I'm just going to prove to you by showing you my camera.
Oh, he's actually wearing it. I can't
I-
prove it, I don't think, without breaking too much immersion, but
Yep.
he's actually wearing it. That's incredible.
Yep.
It's a good looking
Hot dog
suit too.
costume. Yeah, it's nice quality. I mean, besides the unbreathability, it's actually pretty good. But yes, I brought the receipts. I am wearing a hot dog suit.
That is actually amazing. There you go, Jeremy. I mean, he's gonna have to take my word for it, but yeah, you are definitely wearing it. So that's amazing. All right, Viva, we will let you go, but hopefully have a good one, and I'll see you around if Mason is ever sick again, or if maybe I replace him. Who knows? What?
Oh, hey.
I didn't say. You didn't hear me say that.
Yeah. Yeah, looking forward to it. Thanks for hopping in. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, see you, Beaver.
Bye now.
All right, that was Beaver bringing it home in the top spot. Next up, we're going to have Eat My Dust, who has finally come into the waiting room. Now, is it Eat My Dust or Eat My Dust? Because I feel like I've made this mistake so many times, and I'm copying James with this one.
It's Eat My Dust.
Somehow I knew it, and I kept referring to it during the race, and for some reason I've just stuffed it up again. But welcome to the broadcast waiting. Well, we're not in the waiting room. We're in the broadcast room, so welcome to that as I use my own voice. How are you feeling after that one?
Oh, pretty good actually. That track was interesting to say the least. Just could never really get a decent flow going. I'd have a decent lap and then have a not good lap, but
Yeah, it seemed
seemed to
like a
work out.
very, very difficult one. A few spins from pretty much everyone all across the board. I think Beaver might have been the only one who didn't have a spin, which may be the reason why he ended up in the top spot, to be honest, not on pace at all. So, but that's another thing entirely. But it seemed like a pretty good race from where you were sitting.
Yeah. Should have thought I could have finished P2 in the sprint, or in the first race, and half spun on my own and lost it into fourth. Had a couple little half spins here in this longer race, but when it counted with Bozak behind me, I think defended well enough, and then it seemed like he got incident limit or something there, and with his half spin at the end.
Yeah, we were going to talk about that because it definitely looked like you guys were in for an all-out war towards the end of that one. And then he had a bit of a bobble, bit of a spin behind you, and that must have felt like just a whole bunch of weight coming off your shoulders.
Yeah, absolutely, man. He had his half spin right there at the same spot I had mine. But after he dropped off, I knew I could really just focus on bringing it home, and I even almost managed to mess that one up, but managed it. So
Well, speaking of, we were going to ask you, you came down pit road just before the end of that race. Was that to serve the penalty that you may have had, or what was the reason for that? Did you just have enough and you didn't want to drive an out lap?
I did not have a penalty, but I didn't have enough fuel to make it back around, and I wanted to check my tires, and I knew I had the gap. So
Fair enough.
yeah,
I mean, that's enough said. All right, well,
no ill will meant.
that is all good. All right, Eat My Dust, we will let you go. But before we do, any shout outs, teams, family, friends, sponsors, anything, it is up to you.
Shout out to Steve, my teammate. Shout out to you guys for continuing to put this on, even though Mason's sick. Shout out to my dad who tunes in and watches, and yeah.
All right, sounds good. We will see you in the future. Hopefully, I will as well. I may be back. Who knows? And
Sweet.
we will see you in the future. Eat My Dust. Eat My Dust. God damn it. So, yeah, we'll talk to you then. Have a good one.
Sounds great. Thank you.
All right, that was Eat My Dust. Bring it home in the second position. And up in third is going to be Bozak. Bozak bringing it home. How are you feeling?
Pretty good after the whole race.
Yep. Well, I tell you what, it looked like you were missing the pace earlier on coming through the field. And then you got your pace back towards the end, and just that little spin just unfortunately got away from you.
Yeah, I hit the brakes a bit too hard during that corner, and that the front end, or the rear end, sorry, sort of lifted up and lost grip. Couldn't really do much about that, so.
Yeah, unfortunately, that can be a bit of a, let's go with a bummer. That's a good way to say it. But I tell you what, Bozak, you won the first race, and it seemed like you were gonna really fight tooth and nail for that second place spot. Did Eat My Dust maybe make you question how long you wanted to be behind him, and that's why you were pushing a little bit too hard and spun around, or because that was a great fight between you two towards the end there?
Yeah, it was a good fight, but I was pushing to see if I could catch up or at least get close to first position, but unfortunately pushed a little too hard, and then I spun and got that drive-through penalty because I was already pushing the track limit too much.
Yeah, well, it certainly seemed like everyone was pushing the track limits a little bit too much. But Bozak, it's been a great pleasure talking to you. Before I let you go, who would you like to shout out to? Friends, family, sponsors. The floor's yours. Third place, that ain't half bad.
Yeah, to me that's a win in my book after that whole thing. But thanks for organizing this whole thing. Thanks for being the broadcaster for this race, and congrats to Beaver and Eat My Dust for the top 2 position.
No worries at all. It has been great talking to you, Bozak, and no, just I'm gonna say shout out to you for being so humble. That's where my shout out's going. So
I
we'll
don't know
end
what to
it
say
on
about
that.
that now.
Oh well, just smile and wave, boys. So
Yeah, pretty much.
all right, well we'll drop you back down to the waiting room. Thank you very much for joining us, and I'm sure we'll see you in the future.
Yeah, thanks for organizing this whole thing.
No worries. All right, that was Bozak bringing it home in the 3rd position. It has been an absolute pleasure bringing you the J2ICS, the Just Two Idiots Cup Series with Team Goon Squad Broadcasting. I have been your fill-in for the usual host, Gareth McAllister, bringing you the action as best I can to the best of my Australian internet's ability. We will see you in the future, same time, same place. Next week will be the Endurance Series. Don't miss it. See you then. Bye-bye.